Okay, this is some number of video about Ultramarines, which I would know if I had any production quality or care. Talking about the new list I have, I went to the tournament, my local RTT, with my Eradicator list. Some things that I knew would be a problem were a problem. That would be getting camped out by indirect fire, which happened in my very first game against a top Texas player, at least as far as I can tell. So to rectify that problem, we're now going to bring suppressors. They shoot way too far. They shoot 9 shots per squad. They're kind of ludicrous. I talked to someone about these and why I think they're just kind of busted. It's not just the range, which will be helpful against being camped out, and helpful against trying to blow up some raiders from long range on the first turn. But also, I'm paying 100 points for 6 wounds, which is about 16.66 points per wound, which is a 60% lower efficiency than I would be paying for regular intercessors. I consider them to be like the Jedi curve, like the Magic Gathering, of what to expect wound-wise per point for Ultramarines, for Space Marines. So they're below that, but really one of my squads of suppressors they're playing is to drop behind enemy lines and rod, which is pretty much what I used the interceptors for last time. Sorry, the inceptors for last time. Basically, I'm playing 100 points to get 4 victory points and then do 9 shots worth of damage. They still count as infantry. I could pay 2 CP to double fire them. Or to fire them with uncompromising fire while they rod. Probably not going to, but it's definitely an option. Again, the point of this army is to hopefully have the army that opposes me tabled by like turn 3 or 4. Shout out to the motorcycle guy in the background. So in which case this would be a safe rod, and then turn 4 and 5 they could shoot or move around. They move 12 inches and shoot. And in Tactical Doctrine, we don't suffer penalties for moving and shooting with heavy weapons, so they really could be blasting around, at least on my side of the board, with great coverage. So that's the suppressors. I'm going to bring 9 of them. I'll show you how exactly we do that on the cheap, as that is kind of the everyman hobbyist price range that I'd like to try and show lists off for. In other news for this list, I'm going to drop the captain. I like the captain a lot. The reroll ones to hit aura is really great. But the fact of the matter is, statistically speaking, it doesn't matter if you're rerolling ones to hit or rolling ones to wound. I'm pretty sure they're going to end up being the same, or at least pretty close. And to that end, the captain, I'm paying like 140 points for him. I know some of that is for Chapter Master, but that's 40 points I want to put into other things. He is really just a reroll body. If he's ever in a fight, I've already lost the game, pretty much. So I don't need the power sword. I don't need the power shield. Yeah, basically as long as I have a 9-inch reroll aura, I don't really care. So he's getting replaced entirely with just a cheap, no-nonsense lieutenant. This lieutenant is literally 75 points, but he's still gonna be my warlord. He'll have Master of Strategy, so I can dictate a Tactical Doctrine on the first turn. Probably putting that on a suppressor in the first turn, so I can shoot out there and shoot a raider with no penalties. I'll probably start them somewhere in the center of the board, and then as I need to, declare the suppressors and then shift them over, 9 inches so that I stay inside of the Vox Aspiratum aura, which he still has. So reroll ones, no penalty to wound, and, maybe I'll be in Wisdom in the Ancient Range with the Dreadnoughts, which I'll talk about in a second. Same deal on the Eradicators, still running 15 of them. It's kind of the gimmick of my list and the gimmick of my whole army. Yeah, they got blown up in my first game at the tournament against that Imperial Guard guy who was camped up in the back. He had indirect fire, and he rolled super well. I mean, he would have killed me regardless, but he did roll extremely well. I think he fired like 20 strength 10 shots at me. Obviously, he's wounding on 2s. The Eradicators had no chance. So they were gone. Those tanks are scary. Hopefully the suppressors will take care of that in the future. I did also learn the lesson that I should just suck up the 2 CP and put a unit into Deep Strike if I see that they're going to have a lot of indirect fire. I might consider something like that against Death Guard. We'll see. Despite the fact that I pride myself on being the everyman hobbyist and not spending a lot of money, I did buy 2 Volkite Contemptors. These I got 3D printed. I think they look pretty great. I don't remember exactly what the company's name was that I got them from, but they look great. They came like a week sooner than they quoted, so I have no real problem. Obviously, they're not up to my regular painting standards, but I have 12 days left, so before the next tournament to do it. But I mean, they're great models. They're resin. They're from Forge World. I screwed up making them, but you know, super glue, so I just froze it and cracked it and redid it. Uh, I hate that I spent like $60 on each of these, but these ones are in stock. The regular Relic Contemptors are not. These essentially, in every decorative way, are Relic Contemptors. Plus, they have the Ultramarines. I don't think anyone's going to give you any grief about them. So they're expensive. I try and limit my hobby spending to what is effectively $60 a month. So it did take me a while to get those, but you know, I got a raise, so I just bought them outright. They're kind of stupid. I played a game against Dark Angels this past week, and they just pumped out a dumb amount of mortal wounds when they had good rerolls and Blessing of the Omnissiah for my Tech Marine. They're just kind of stupid. I understand they're hard to get, they cost a CP, but they're only 150 points. They're 35 less than a fully kitted Redemptor, and I find they have a lot more consistency. I know they have no AP, but in the first turn they will have AP 1. They have an extremely crazy volume of shots. It's 16 strength 6 shots. We're talking about good wounding on boys, good wounding on Space Marines. 6s are mortal wounds automatically. No AP, I figure I'm going to get like 2 wounds through their AP rolling, or through their save rolling. That's 2 dead Space Marines, which is great. It's only 2 dead boys, but you know, it is what it is. Well, actually, the boys will save much less. Probably be like 6 dead boys, plus the mortal wounds that they put out. I mean, they're just excellent units. They're broken. With Blessing on the Saya and rerolls, I just can't see why you wouldn't take them. Someone did ask what I would replace them with on Discord if I didn't have the funds to do it, and that is a phenomenal question. I will show you what I would replace them with momentarily. It's a really weird pick. I understand it's a weird pick, but I think it might be interesting. But those are the main changes to the list. Drop the Redemptors finally, because I did want to put these guys in. So I dropped the Redemptors for 2 Contemptors. I replaced the Captain with a Lieutenant. Tech Marine is my other one. That Tech Marine has Seal of Oath. These guys rerolling absolutely everything. If they have like a Raider I know is full of scary stuff, like Incubi and whatever that Archon guy is, I will target and try and blow up that Raider first, you know, or whatever it ends up being. You know, maybe I'll pick a big unit of witches or something else that's going to charge, and they will reroll absolutely everything in Overwatch. Yeah. Plus, Seal of Oath is just good. Keep the Tech Marine around. I'll probably keep a Suppressor squad hanging out with them too, just so he gets rerolls on everything against that target. Seal of Oath is just flexible. It's a great relic. It's definitely worth the 1 CP, and these guys are definitely worth their extra CP each. Yeah, that is pretty much all that's different here. Except one thing. I just picked up this kit. I like to spend $60 a month at least at my local game store. Just because I play like, you know, 4 to 5 practice games there a month. They let us do that for free, so I want to kind of give them some support. I spend more than $60 sometimes. But again, I have a 5-man intercessor squad in my list, a 5-man infiltrator squad. Both of those have great deep striking denial potential, especially considering I barely leave my deployment zone in any given game. Which by definition will make the games harder for me to win, and they'll be very tight. Like if I win, I'll win by 5 points only. But they're great, and I need to keep the deep strike denial up. They deep strike denial great on Dawn of War deployments as long as there's enough terrain for them, and they deep strike even better on those weird triangle slanty deployment zones that look like this. You know what I'm talking about, like Mission 33 has those slanted deployment zones. I put the infiltrators defending the thicker side of the deployment zone, and the intercessors defending the thinner side. I might flip-flop that. I'm not really sure. I think it has to do more with what they're deep striking or anything else. I like to predetermine a deployment plan and figure everything out, but there are flexibilities that you have to make on the table. Also, speaking of hobby budgeting, I've had this hobby knife for 12 years. I've had this same exact bottle of glue. I haven't refilled it or anything, because the less plastic glue you use, the faster it dries and the better it is. I've had this bottle for 9 or 10 years. It's still liquid. It works great. Save money. use things sparingly. We'll move on to the stuff that I bought recently, though. How do you get 9 suppressors? Great question. I have 2 Vanguard boxes with the suppressors in them. If you go onto Facebook like I did, and some joker wants $50 for 3 suppressors, laugh in his face because that's stupid. No 3-man unit is worth that kind of money. I went out and I bought this Vanguard box. This one is still full. I have yet to resell anything out of it. This one I've sold like half the stuff out of already. Don't be that guy either. So take your suppressors out, sell the Eliminators for like $15, sell the infiltrators for like $20. You know, sell the lieutenant. There's like a Phobos lieutenant comes in, sell them for like 10 or $15. Right? That's 15, 30, 50. You paid $30 for the suppressors. Maybe that's too much. Charge 20 or 25 for the infiltrators. I'm seeing 10-man infiltrator squads go on sale for like $35 or $40 on Facebook, which I think is a ludicrous price to pay, considering they're like 55 or 60 brand new. But like, you know, sell them for a reasonable price. As long as you come out getting the suppressors basically for like 25 or $20 for the 3 of them, you're doing great. Just buy the whole box and resell everything you don't want. I'm probably going to keep the Eliminators out of this second box because I sold the first set out of this box. So I actually did keep... I will be keeping most of the stuff in here because I need 5 more infiltrators to make my my Space Marine collection a full company of 100 Space Marines. But like everything else in this box is going to go. I'm keeping the suppressors. They're going to go. They're going to go. The lieutenant's going to go. Just get rid of it. And just talking really quickly about the stuff I got for really cheap. Repulsor Executioner, $80. It's like $20 off. I don't recommend ever spending this kind of stupid money, but I had the money. I like the model. I'm a hobbyist first. I'm not really going to use it in a game, and I don't particularly recommend it. But we'll talk about that in a second. I got 2 Whirlwinds for $20 each or $15 each. Super ludicrous deal. That's something I snagged off of Facebook. I also got 2 Storm Talon gunships for $20 and $30 each. Again, spending a lot of money for an everyman hobbyist, but I'm not recommending them for a list or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, you know, these are the kinds of deals you can run across. I got Invader ATVs for $15 a piece. I got 3 of them. Am I going to use them? Probably not. But do I like them? Yes. And I like modeling and hobbying, so that's what it is. Here's one of the Redemptors. I'm retiring all the Redemptors from the lists. I don't like them. I find them to be too squishy. Their bases are too big. And they are strong enough and well known to be strong enough that people target them with Dark Lances and Entropy Cannons first. So, like, you know, hide them well enough that they won't be killed in the first 2 turns, but then they'll be kind of useless or ineffective. I just don't like them. I don't find them to be as good as the Volkite Contemptors, especially considering the range. The Volkite Contemptors shoot at 45 inches away, right? We talked about the Drukhari's threat range of being like 24 to 26 inches on any given turn. The Redemptor, you're not going to play perfectly, right? The Redemptor shoots a maximum of 30, and that's just for his 1 Gatling cannon. If you want everything else to fire, you got to be in 24. That's threat range. And if you don't play perfect, you're going to be missing that 6 inches. You're going to get charged, and you're going to blow up. The Contemptors, I keep on the very back. They can hit basically everything. I like them. The range is important. Sorry, range ramble over again. This is that $60 I spent at my local game store, though, for heavy intercessors, which I am putting in the list. Exactly for the same reason I just talked about. It's the range. With the Executor bolt rifle, I think it is, you shoot like 40 inches. It's stupid. It's 42 inches. These guys will probably be backfield objective holders, which is fine by me. We talked about point efficiency. These guys actually have identical efficiency to regular intercessors for wounds per point. However, they are toughness 5 wounds, which, if you really want to think about it statistically, you know, just based on the strengths of other weapons, they're like 16% more resilient than regular ones. So actually, I'd say they're like they're 16% more efficient wound-wise than regular intercessors. It's probably a wrong calculation, but I really like them, or I like them on paper. We'll see how they actually perform. But I'm going, so my troop slots are 1 heavy intercessor, 1 infiltrator, 1 regular intercessor, and I am going to pay the extra 10 points for the Executor heavy bolter. Yeah, but that's the edit to the list. So just to take a look at it here, I know this is not ideal, but right, Primaris Lieutenant, cheap, kept him cheap, 75 points. Tech Marine, Seal of Oath, 80 points, nothing special here. I would pay for the guaranteed 3 on the heel for Master of Forge, but I want to keep that 20 pumped in somewhere like the Infiltrator squad, so I'm not going to. If it comes out that I really need that healing, I will, but generally I find that Dreadnoughts will die in 1 turn. You know, if you have an opportunity to heal them, great, but these Dreadnoughts don't particularly bracket. I'll be healing them, you know, okay-ish anyway. But when they want to focus something down with Dark Lances, they focus it down with Dark Lances, and that's it. Troops, just what we just talked about: Heavy Intercessor, an Infiltrator squad, and a regular Intercessor squad. Right, backfield objective, Deep Strike Denial, and/or backfield objective. Like on Mission 33, they would screen and hold the backfield. Apothecary, obviously, paying the extra point for Chief Apothecary. If he reses 2 Eradicators over the course of the game, that 1 CP is worth it, both because I didn't pay for the res strat for 2 CP, so I saved 1, and also just points wise. I'm paying 50 points per Eradicator. Right, so 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts, so I'm losing 2 more CP, 9 Suppressors, just oppressive levels of firepower. Again, 2 of these will start on the board, and 1 of them will pretty much always Deep Strike, just to get me my 4 extra points for Rod, which I will take pretty much every game. And then those classic Eradicator squads that I run. 3 squads. I had enough points to bump another one up to have a multi-melta, so I got to kit bash that together this week. But just an absolutely punishing amount of firepower. They shredded the Dark Angels on the approach. The Contemptors softened them up, and by the time they got close enough, the Eradicators just made absolute melted metal out of them. Yeah, I still like the Eradicators a lot. They really didn't let me down. I played a Salamanders list in that tournament. I had him tabled by turn 4 pretty much, and then I had my own run of the map. I did win that game by 9. I should have won it by 19. I kind of gave up 10 extra points by going too far and getting charged with my Infiltrators, but you know, live and learn. It is what it is. The Blade Guard vets he was running were also quite hard to shift off of one of the side points. But yeah, that is pretty much the list update for now. I know it's not quite as high quality as Warped Miniatures, I think his name is. But, you know, I don't run successor chapters. I refuse to. It'll be all Ultramarines all day. This week I'll probably be finishing up this Repulsor Executioner, actually shading my Eradicators. You might notice they're not shaded at all. They have no highlighting. They're table ready, but they're not really an acceptable standard as far as I'm concerned personally. Neither was the captain, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, my next tournament is on the 18th, 12 days from now. I'll finish up painting these suppressors and the 6 more that I have still on sprues, and then we'll see how it goes. The one thing that might be concerning is that this list starts with 8 CP. If I have to Deep Strike Eradicators against a campy list, I might be starting at 6. Basically, I know where those CP are going to go to. It'll be like Wisdom of the Ancients. That's pretty much what I rely on. Wisdom of the Ancients, maybe an Uncompromising Fire if I really need them to drop Rod and shoot. And Sons of Gilliman, right? Rerolling 1s if I have to give the aura somewhere these guys are not. Sons of Gilliman, great strat. In general, I might be doing Sons for Heavy Intercessors because they're troops. They'll reroll absolutely all hits. Kind of be here or there. I really don't CP reroll, right? With Ultramarines, we don't charge, we don't move up, and we have so many huge bubbles, we shouldn't be CP rerolling. If we're CP rerolling because 1 wound or 1 hit is going to be the difference, we've already misplayed. Not the strongest army out there. We don't have a lot of gimmicks. We have to rely on careful strategy and careful planning before we even hit the table if we're going to win anything. Yeah. Deployment is going to be pretty important. I am going to put the 2 Contemptors just to do a rough thing. I don't have my big table set up at the moment. Kind of switching out to folding tables. But just do a rough thing. It'd be there and there. We'll call this guy my Tech Marine, right? We'll keep them all castled up in the center first. 1 Eradicator squad will probably be off to the side here. Another Eradicator squad off to the flank here. but strung out such that it can shift back to the middle if it needs to. And then the third Eradicator squad right here in the center, Tech Marine Seal of Oath, Contemptor Dreadnought reroll ones to wound from the Lieutenant, one Suppressor squad here in the middle with the Lieutenant to get Master of Strategy, one off the table for Deep Strike, and one probably off to another flank supporting the weaker side with just the Eradicators. That way, no matter which alleyway or avenue the Raiders come from, I'll be able to hopefully pop them on the way in. But we'll see. If I have to split fire, like the Suppressors go all in on the Raider and it has 2 wounds left, I'm going to send one Volkite Contemptor after it. Maybe just one Volkite Contemptor cannon, or I'll shift another Suppressor towards it and fire 2 Volkite Contemptors at another Raider. It'll kind of be hit or miss, right? The Raider is going to be out of range of the Eradicators pretty much always. And that is it as far as my deployment strategy. Just going to talk about one last thing. I spoke to like 8 people at the tournament. All of them asked the same question. I really feel like it was all a trap. They're like, why don't you take Seal of Oath? Seal of Oath is such a great way to score points. I'm like, yeah, it is for any chapter that's not me. Everyone says it. Every popular player, every great player, they're always like, well, this is a game of movement. If you move, you win. I'm like, yeah, that is true of everybody but us. Okay, that conventional wisdom is not going to help us. Because the fact is, everyone else moves way more than us, even if we went for a really fast Bikers list. Okay, the Raiders will just run circles around you. The Necrons with teleporting and the Orcs with the jump will run circles around you. There's no reason to try and compete on those fronts. If we move into the center for Seal of Oath and we hold the center, we're just giving them extra movement, right? Everyone says the charging phase is the extra movement phase. Surprise, surprise, if I'm in my deployment zone, you don't get an extra movement phase until your 3rd turn, if you survive that long, right? Like, Seal of, oh yeah, but what if you kill characters and don't fall back? Like, hello, if they get to me by the 3rd turn, it is in my best interest to fall back. It's like, yeah, I could score 6 points in my first 2. No thanks, I'd have a better chance with no prisoners to bring it down. Or assassinate, for that matter. I don't like Oaths of Moment. I think I said Seal of Oath earlier. Sorry about that. I don't like Oaths of Moment for Space Marines. I know it makes no sense. It's in the Codex. We are the quintessential Space Marines. But I find if we go to the center, we just die, right? We have great shooting, but other armies have good shooting, right? You're going to lose stuff off the center. You could plop a 5-man Blade Guard on the center, and they'll be pretty hard to shift, but they will be shifted eventually, right? If they fight last, they're screwed. If they get charged by 2 units of Incubi, they're screwed. There's not really much you can do about that. So, yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say. I'm sure I'll have more rambles in the future about Oaths of Moment. I don't know, that's just kind of how it is. But thanks for watching, I suppose. I'll be coming out with videos a little more frequently. Sorry, I started up some lab studies and a bunch of other crap for engineering. But I also have been ramping up the amount of games that I play. Yeah, I think I'll have a deployment strategy guide out soon. I'll have the maps all drawn up with the different deployment zones, and I can show you kind of like what my thought process is, because again, I say it all the time, if we don't have a strategy to win before we hit the table, we're going to lose. We have to have everything pre-planned. The Codex Astartes is not just like a meme and a lore thing. It seems to play out. Like, we are at a disadvantage on a lot of charging and a lot of range stuff. We have to have a plan for everything before we touch the table. But now that's actually it at like 20 something minutes. Thanks.